So it's recording and you're live. I'm sure there's nobody watching yet. So I'm gonna just mute myself and then I'll keep an eye on Facebook.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
Sorry I can't be there today.
We miss you here.
I miss you too. We usually give people a couple of minutes. Right? Although I did not check the registration list this time. I usually do. Sorry. This is what we get for me not feeling great.
Just getting my multiple screens set up.
Are you from the Binghamton area then, Colleen?
Yes.
Nice.
Yep. Born and raised.
I grew up in Oneonta, so we used to play all our sports down in Binghamton.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I actually just bought a house in April in Port Crane.
Oh.
So my kids go to Harpersville now. We used to live in the city of Binghamton. And so it's a huge change for them because we went from being in the largest populated school in the county to now the smallest.
That is a big
So, yeah, it's a drastic difference for them.
Well, and I suspect your family increased the population of that school considerably.
Yes, well, especially so a little secret that you'll get a preview of is I have triplets. So yes, they're pre-K maxed out quickly.
That's wild.
But I always tell people I'm the epitome of life's unexpected. By, everything should be fluid.
You're a braver woman than I. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? It's a few minutes after and people can join us. Excuse me, sorry. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for our Financial Friday series, Holiday Spending and Saving with Colleen Barton with Visions Federal Credit Union. If you want to go to the next slide, Colleen. This series is sponsored by the Central New York Cash Coalition, and CASH stands for Creating Assets, Savings, and Hope. The coalition consists of a number of organizations dedicated to promoting financial stability and asset building opportunities for low to moderate income individuals and families in Onondaga County, but obviously this series can help people almost anywhere. And you can see a list of the organizations down below, but particularly the Central New York United Way keeps us all on track. So next slide, Colleen. It's really our pleasure. We've been looking to bring Colleen on board with us for a while now, and we're glad you could join us for this important but maybe lighthearted topic of holiday financial savings. Colleen has worked in the financial service industry for over 16 years. In 2009, Colleen began developing a financial wellness program as a team of one of Vision Federal Credit Union financial empowerment team. Her work over the years has laid the groundwork to what is now an award-winning bilingual financial wellness program that's administered by a team of 7 and growing in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. And I just have to say, that is fantastic. I mean, really terrific. Congratulations. Colleen is passionate about financial wellness and believes that helping and educating others about money management and financial wellness is her true calling. Colleen's a certified credit union financial counselor and has an associate's degree in business administration from SUNY Broome, a bachelor's degree in human development from Binghamton University, and she's currently attending Excelsior College for her MBA. Outside of work, Colleen is a self-proclaimed, I love this, crazy couponer and chaos coordinator, and she's always looking for the best deals for her family of 7. Colleen's in Broome County, New York with her husband, Tony, and their 5 children known as the Beehive. And let me see if I can get all the names right, Colleen. We've got Braden, Bennett, Bellamy, Bethany, and Bowen.
Correct.
Did I do Bowen's name correctly?
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us today. And why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we are going to be doing our presentation today on holiday spending and saving, planning, preparing, and enjoying. So this time of year can be full of lots and lots of chaos. And after the last couple years, the chaos may seem even more extreme. But when it comes to holidays, they're meant for us to enjoy them. So when we take that step back and we add in some planning, preparing, and enjoying, we're truly going to be able to enjoy it. Not just put that, mom smile on, yep, everything's great, but truly enjoy that time. So the most wonderful time of the year, that's what they say. We want it to be the most wonderful time of year. For many of us, that's when we get to spend our time with loved ones, whether they live here or they live far away. They may travel during this time. I know in my family, this last year we had some deaths in the family. So, I can say as we put out Christmas trees and different things, in my own mind, I've just been thinking about things we used to do or someone that used to be sitting at the table, etc. So it's time for reminiscing and also tradition. And at this point in my life, as I'm getting older and I have my own children, I've noticed that those traditions have really started to change. Now, do I miss being with my entire extended family on the holidays, hustle and bustle? Yeah, I do. But at the same time, do I like now that I have a home where my family, my core family gets to stay and enjoy? And if people want to see us, they can come see us. I do. So you've got to find what works for you. Also this time of year, the celebrations, the parties, office parties, ugly sweater parties, Friendsgiving, etc. Because of COVID, some people are doing those things, some people aren't, some businesses are, some businesses aren't. Regardless, it's about showing appreciation, enjoying just each other's company, having some good cheer, and just truly getting what the meaning of the holiday spirit is. And then, decorating trees, etc., all that stuff. I never really was a Christmas person. Never really was a decorating person. I'm the person that goes to the Christmas tree shop and looks at all the fancy things for a house and say, oh, that would be really nice. I could never pull it off and make it look like it should be in the house the way it's supposed to be. But since we bought our new house, this year, we have a fireplace at our house, and I've got a little tree on one side that's all lit, and a little Santa Claus on the other side, and stockings all hung, and the garland on top, and all these things that I used to look and say, oh, I wish I could do that. Why? Because it brings joy. We were setting up our Christmas tree right before Thanksgiving, actually the week before. Just because, and I know many people are doing that. Many people the last couple of years have been doing that, maybe keeping their tree up longer because it brings joy. And that's a nice thing. You have a lighted tree at night and you just kind of look at it in the kitchen. I mean, I found myself last year just sitting on my couch, staring at my tree. That was it with the cat. And that's something that I truly found just as enjoyment. And then of course, the food. Lots of people overindulge at this time. I think there's no problem with that because we only ever share this food at this time of year for some of us. But, it's a nice time to bake maybe those favorite cookies that you really love and you love to give as a gift. Or I have a friend that she always makes fudge this time of year. So it's just kind of those things. And peanut brittle, that's like the #1 food right now. So just all the enjoyment, because again, it's the most wonderful time of the year, but we want to make sure that you get to have yourself a merry little Christmas. And I know it's not easy. Okay. But you got to kind of take a step back, right? What makes you happy during the holidays? You really have to bring it down to that basic. What makes you happy? You know, parents, I know parents try to please many, many people. And over the last several years, just as I've watched friends and family, you know, you start to evolve the way you do things. I know growing up, it was like you could never disappoint anybody else. Well, but grandma's expecting all 35 people to be at her house on Christmas. And now a lot of people are starting to take a step back and say, hey, grandma, let's get together the week before. Let's get together the week after. We're as a core family just going to stay home and enjoy this day. Find out what makes it fun for you. Because again, you probably have done most of the work for the holidays. You want to enjoy them as well. Planning. So planning is going to go across all aspects, right? It's going to help you reduce stress, but it's also going to increase your enjoyment. I'm a huge planner. I am a list maker. You know, everything goes in a timely manner. But in order for myself to function efficiently, that's what I need. You need to find out what works for you. If you're someone that just can kind of keep it all in your head and say, this is what's going to happen, great. Some people can't do that. I like writing it down. So when it comes to the holidays, you know, I'm writing a list down of what my expected budget is for the holidays, what I will only spend on my kids, what I may spend on, you know, the parents, etc., and maybe my top budget on what I can contribute to, you know, the potluck at work and maybe gifts for little people here and there. I make a budget and I stick to that. You know, part of it could be some of my training, but I know the other part is my mind. So I know many of us have kind of a tug of war with our head says one thing, our heart says another. However, you don't want buyer's remorse. You don't want guilt. And if you're feeling guilt because you didn't buy a more expensive gift for someone, then there's more wrong in that relationship than one would really realize at the core. So that's where you got to kind of step back, is really what is important about it. Many financial institutions have holiday club accounts or different Christmas club, whatever. And on the flip side, they have vacation club accounts. So you can do that planning all year long. You can do that planning, you know, and say, all right, well, it's already coming out of my paycheck. So I don't have to worry about it because it's already happening. Some people wait until December 24th to then go do their shopping for Christmas. That could be causing them some stress. And that's okay if that's their style. But I'm here to kind of give you some information that could reduce that chaos and give you more enjoyment and less chaos. I can tell you, and he's going to love that I am telling the world this, but often, you know, when I talk about that planning and that saving, you know, Christmas, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, you know, Valentine's Day, birthdays, etc. These are all things we can plan for. And so I tell my husband all the time, comes the same time every year. You've got 12 months to get in gear and kind of set things aside. So take that time to do it. When January starts, have your plan, okay? And boundaries. Boundaries is going to help you have a merry little Christmas. Again, it's taken me a long time to do this. And there are many people I struggle with that. Little secret, I am a twin. My twin sister and I both have large families of our own. I live on one side of a county. She lives on the other side of another county. So when it comes to boundaries between us, we've never really had great ones, right? But when it comes to the holidays, it's like being in a pre-K classroom with all of our children. And neither one of us wants to rip away our kids from their new toys, their new stuff, get them out of their jammies or anything like that. So we've had to start to implement some new traditions, some new boundaries, new things that we're going to do. So for example, instead of making it that, oh, we all have to get together on Christmas Day and this and that, we now plan the weekend before. All of us wear our jammies and we go to my sister's house and we bake cookies, watch Christmas movies, and the kids just have a pizza party and it's a fun time. We also eliminated gifts out of that. Because how many of us go to parties or family gatherings and one, you've either drew names and you now have a higher budget than you probably spend for 2 or 3 people, or you're buying something for everyone and now you have 25 nieces and nephews and you're stressing out about it. No, gifts isn't the part of the holidays. Yeah, it's exciting. It's always nice to get something, but make a new tradition. You know, that's what my sister and I decided to do. We make cookies. Now, I'm no baker. Thank goodness her husband is. And he enjoys that. And they make fancy little gingerbread men and all those things. But I'd rather contribute to a grocery bill or buy a couple of pizzas for us all to enjoy a really nice time, take some pictures, have the grandmas there. That's a nice time. That's something I'm going to remember and my kids are going to remember far after, you know, any toy could have been unwrapped and used for 5 minutes. Okay. Then, you know, really just making sure you're comfortable with what you're doing. You know, I heard, Andrea, you had mentioned earlier about some different things that you're just kind of saying yes to, and that's all well and good, but at some point we have to say no. And it's not that it's a no forever. It just may be, it's a no for this year, but you know what? I'll write them on the list and that'll be my consideration for next year.
I think that's a good point, Colleen, with donations in particular. I mean, there's no shortage of places to give this year or any year, quite frankly. And so I think picking the places that mean the most to you, whether it's the mission or the person you have the relationship with, that it's near and dear to their heart, but kind of having a sense of what's my donation budget as well as my other gift giving budget.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be, you know, because you feel obligated. Like you mentioned, something you feel near and dear. So something I feel near and dear about, there's 2 organizations my family tends to give to, and I really only ever give to them. And it's not that I don't want to support other organizations, but the reason I do it is because these 2 things mean a lot to me. My kids started going to a school where the poverty rate in that school was 80%. So most of the kids received SNAP benefits and things like that, and would be part of the backpack program offered by our food bank, where basically the school counselor would gather all these bags from the food bank that had meals for the weekend that would help these kids get through the weekend. And then the other organization that we give to is Toys for Tots. And I do that in honor of my niece. My 4-year-old niece passed away 10 years ago. And every year, my kids and I buy gifts as though we were buying them for her, and we donate them to Toys for Tots because that's important to me. And that's something you really kind of want to think about. You know, I know all organizations need some help, but again, when you can tie something to it, it makes you feel better. Make a list and check it twice. Like I said, I am a list maker. It makes my family crazy. I'm pretty sure it makes my coworkers crazy because I will go through a checklist all the time. But when it comes to holidays, you want to create one. So I do an entire list. And quite honestly, it starts in January because I also spread a lot of my shopping over the year. I'm always looking for deals, and my husband and I come up with a theme. So like this year, the theme for our kids is camping. So we bought like all the kids new sleeping bags because my 3 littlest didn't even have sleeping bags. We bought them these little lanterns that are battery operated. We bought a big tent for the family. So we come up with sort of a theme. So all year long, even though I'm adding to a Christmas club, I'm also looking at, oh, that's a really good deal on that. I'm going to snag those right now. So having that checklist, having that idea is a good thing. If you go through and you know, okay, mom said she needed, I don't know, a heated blanket. You know, you kind of write that down. I don't know if anyone else has Amazon Alexa, but I have a bunch of those in my house. And every time my mom or my mother-in-law or my father-in-law like mention something, I always say, Alexa, add such and such to the Christmas list. Because then I'm not scrambling come November on what am I supposed to get them? Oh, we'll just do an Applebee's gift card. At least it's something I know that they need, they want, they probably wouldn't buy themselves. Okay. If you're someone who travels, include that. Traveling anymore is really expensive. And it can be expensive even more so if you're staying in hotels. Now, I think those options are great. Again, we want to make sure you have a merry little Christmas. So you want to include the different things that could be on that checklist, because when you create that holiday checklist, that then leads you into creating a budget, which then leads you into creating the plan for the next 365 days. Okay, decorations. I've already put my husband and my mom on notice that if they go into, one place that I like to go is called the Thrifty Shopper. We have a couple of them here. And I'm like, if you see holiday decorations, I'm looking for a this, a this, a this, and a this, so looking at them now, but also if you know you need to get something right after Christmas, that's the time to score those things, not leading up to Christmas, because leading up to Christmas, of course, they're all at their peak values. And meals, accounting for those things. A lot of us will go through kind of a list, or we know, all right, well, I host Thanksgiving every year, so these are the things that I am always going to make. But if you don't plan for those things, we kind of just let it go, and that can pile up. I know for Thanksgiving, I start thinking in the beginning of November, oh, I need to start grabbing things. And so I add things gradually to my shopping list every week. So when Thanksgiving comes, I'm all ready. Okay. But having that list, having it solid, is a good thing. If you're someone who does a budgeting book or has a folder somehow that you do your budgeting on, that's where I recommend you keeping this right there, because your budgeting book is your guidelines for your finances. And this is a reminder on where you want some things to be laid out for the holidays that are upcoming. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. So food is a major part of the holidays. But sometimes when you're always the host, it can get extremely expensive. Now, I am not fancy Nancy by any means. So I'm always like, oh, I will make this, this, and this, and chips and dip. Like, I am easy, basic. But then there's some people that will get little crostinis and put little beef on it and cheese. Great. I'm not that way, but I like to encourage people to, if they want to bring something to share, fantastic. Potlucks are great ways to have things enjoyable and affordable. I know when my sister and I will do some meals, we'll say, all right, I'm going to do the turkey and the stuffing. We always assign my mom the mashed potatoes. I don't know why, but hers are always the best, even though she hates making them. My sister's husband will make bread. So there's different things. Sometimes it doesn't balance out if we were to balance a budget for it, but we're making what we're enjoying. Some people, if they want to gather during the holidays, maybe simplifying it a little. My sister started doing something called Snacksgiving parties. So instead of gathering everybody for Thanksgiving, she then does kind of like an open house snacks giving, where people bring a snack, you have snacks, movies are on all day, great. That's fun. Also, cookie exchanges. Some people have baking parties. Some people do these cookie exchanges. I am not a baker. I am really not a great cook either. But these types of things are things that I find fun, because I can then have cookies and such to enjoy and share at my own gatherings, own parties. But I didn't necessarily have to put all the labor into all those great things. And then Friendsgiving. Friendsgiving, is just kind of the same thing as any other gathering, but really you make it your own. My best friend and I, we just did that the day on Black Friday with our two families. And this year we just all heated up the leftovers and then sat there and ate them together and enjoyed just an afternoon of camaraderie. That's important, right? But food is a major part of a lot of our holidays, whether it's a tradition you serve a certain dish, etc. Accounting for that in your budget is important. If you need to simplify maybe a little bit, it's not going to make it any less special. But really evaluate those things. I'll be home for Christmas. So it's estimated that 63% of Americans travel during the holiday season. I think that's insane. I don't know, maybe I've seen Home Alone too many times, but just craziness going through either an airport or on the highway, any of that, that's a lot. Now, it can get very costly, whether you're staying in a hotel, you're flying. I think I read that Thanksgiving was the day most traveled by most people. And I thought that was insane, because quite honestly, after I eat that large meal, I would not want to get behind the wheel. But it's something that some people like to do. They always want to go home. I have a sister that lives all the way out in Illinois now, and it's almost heartbreaking for us that she can't come home for the holidays. But at the same time, I look at the reality of it. It's not cheap for her to come home for the holidays all the time. So you really want to look to see how you can help your budget. So you can stay at a hotel or stay with family and friends. Now, no pun intended, but you really want to make the holidays enjoyable. So you may want to account for that hotel in your budget. I don't know.
Okay, that
for
was
me,
funny. That was really funny.
you would. You might want to account for that. But some people, it may be, they don't mind staying at home, but they don't have a vehicle. So looking at how you can accommodate that. You can compare deals. There's Hotwire, Orbitz, hotels.com. But also if you contact the hotel directly, you can also get a pretty good deal as well. However, when it comes to hotels and flights, a lot of the time, especially circling the holidays, it is important to get things booked earlier rather than later. I can tell you for my sister, when she was home last holidays, I had told her, we have this big house now. We have an extra vehicle. If you needed something, like, we can pick you up from the airport. You don't have to worry about those things. Just get yourself here. And she was like, oh, I didn't realize that. Now, I also let her know I have 5 children. So it's not quiet here. But at the same time, she has no children, so she may enjoy it. Right? But really account for that. Travel is important. Time with your family is important. But truly, if staying in a hotel is going to help you with your ability to enjoy everything else, it might be an expense you want to account for. Deck the halls. So when you're reviewing your holiday budget, you want to categorize and assign dollar amounts to things, right? Some people will go ahead and they'll write everything down on that list and then just come up with some random number. Now that's fine, but how accurate is that number? So for example, a couple of years ago, our tree, it was on its like dying bed. And I was like, oh, we really need to get a new one. And I had thought, oh, we'll just take the lights off of it and it'll be fine. We'll just string lights on it. But this one was the most complicated tree I'd ever seen, and that was not a possibility. So I had said to my husband, we need to buy a new tree for the next year. And so we accounted for that in our budget. Most people are not buying new trees all the time, unless they're getting live ones. But there are just some aspects that you don't really do. But then some people do. So whatever works for you. Hey, avoid using credit cards. That's why this planning is important. A lot of us will default to a credit card because we probably don't have it available in our checking account. But if we're doing this planning and preparing all year, that's going to help offset the need to even reach for that card. Okay. Holiday clearance. So holiday clearance is after the holiday. That's when you're buying things. Buy decorations. My sister laughs at me, but a couple of years ago, before my triplets, so more than a couple of years ago, I went to Walmart a couple of days after Thanksgiving, and I bought a whole bunch of these plates and also these table covers that had like puzzles and things that the kids could do with marker on the table. And I bought a bunch of them. And so we literally have them probably for the rest of our children's childhoods. And I bought them because it only totaled up to, I got like a whole case and it totaled up to like maybe $5. I mean, they were super cheap. Doing things like that, if you have the room, makes sense. You know, there are just certain things that you can buy at this time that can be stable. And decorations usually is one of them because you pack them up in a box anyways. Another thing you want to think about with that, if you're bringing in new, pack up the old to go out. If it's damaged, garbage. If it's just not your style or taste anymore, donate it. Okay. Also, research shopping trends and don't just listen to what the media says. And that's not a jab, but they, on the other side of sharing news, they are marketers. Okay. So they are trying to entice you to do more things, right? Do your own research. Is something really a good deal? You know, there's this big thing. So Black Friday was not created for the consumer. And a lot of people don't realize that. Black Friday was created because in general, most companies, etc., stores weren't always in the positive of where their year's sales goals should be before the end of the year. So Black Friday was created to help give those businesses a boost. So they say they have sales and all these doorbusters and all this and all that. Some of those things may be a really good deal. Some of them, they've got really good marketing behind it, not such a good deal. So you want to make sure that you really know what the good deal is. And also same thing for Cyber Monday. It just became popular as a marketing ploy, not necessarily because it's always the best deal for you. I mean, there's some really good things you can get on good deals for Black Friday. Usually it's more things like linens, some clothing, etc. But if you think that TV deals are the best, then they're not. Actually, the best time to buy TVs is during Super Bowl time. And if you look at them, again, this is part of doing your research, you'll see a lot of great advertisements for TVs during Super Bowl time leading up to the Super Bowl. It's not that there's anything wrong with those TVs, but more than likely they're all last year's models. So they're just doing a post New Year closeout deal. But it's still the better time to buy a TV than Black Friday. So just do your own research on what is going to be your best deal. Okay. Give love on Christmas Day. So some of us, we may feel that giving a gift is the only thing we can do, right? And so-and-so's expectation is this. And some of it, depending on your generation, could be the way you were raised. Nothing wrong with that. But the mindset shouldn't be focused on what the gift or what the value of that gift should be. It should be something that you feel that they would like, they would enjoy, etc. Homemade gifts are fantastic. I look forward to every year. My husband's best friend and his wife, they send us homemade marshmallows. And now I've been told that this is not complicated, but as I've mentioned, I'm no cook. So they send them every year, and they have some adult ones and they have some kid ones. And I think it's just one of those nice, sweet things, but I look forward to it every single year. My uncle, he makes, and it's not complicated, but I just look forward to this because I know he makes Kolachki cookies. And so I look forward to the little cookie tray that they bring. So homemade gifts, people enjoy them, especially when they're from someone you enjoy spending the time with, etc. Service gifts. This is a big one. So acts of service for some people is a love language. For me, I am not a physical gift person at all. I always feel bad. I'm like, oh, that's nice, thank you. But it doesn't do much for me. But service gifts, those are something that would do something for me. Those are things that I would enjoy. So someone saying, oh, I'm giving you a coupon, like those Mother's Day coupons that you may have made when you were a kid for your mom, babysitting or dog sitting, lawn work, snow removal, house cleaning, especially if you give a single mom, 5 coupons, say, I will come and do a full house clean for you. I mean, I would be jumping at that, someone to clean my bathtubs and toilets. Those are fantastic gifts.
I used to give my mom a happy hiker once a year. I would go on a hike with her and not complain.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And then there's, some non-gift traditions you can add in. So I mentioned, the Christmas movie and pajamas and cocoa, family baking parties and caroling. That's a really nice thing. Now, we don't see it a lot of places, but there is, in some of the small towns, there are still people that go caroling, and it's just a nice little tradition. They may sing at the church, or tomorrow night in our little town that we live in, they're going to be doing a tree lighting. And so we got a message from the school music teacher that said she would love it if any of the students that were available could come and do some singing at this tree lighting. Those are great gifts. Any of those things. It doesn't have to be, an expensive pair of sneakers or anything else. It can be something they would truly enjoy, or you feel that this would make a great gift for them. So the holidays, bouncing back from the holidays, sometimes that's not always an easy thing. We overindulge on food. We overindulge in spending. We get too much family time, all those things. Sometimes bouncing back from the holidays can be helpful though. I know I take all that time off during the holidays so I can spend it with my kids. And it allows us to kind of do some things. So in November, we start actually preparing for the Christmas season. So we will start going through like the kids' drawers, the kids' clothes, the kids' toys, and we'll be packing them up and donating them because we know more stuff is coming in. This is not only great for you to show you're giving away to others and you're helping, but it helps you with your taxes, okay? When it comes to bouncing back from the holidays, that's when you really, want to get straight with your finances. And I tell everybody they should use some sort of method to budget. I personally like pen and paper. I have a budgeting book right here that I absolutely adore. And it has 12 months in it, and it has a calendar, and it has pockets, and there's all sorts of nice things on this budgeting book. I keep all of that to help me reset. So I have this year's budgeting book, I have last year's budgeting book. So when I'm planning for, kind of what my goals are for the year, that budgeting book can help me. I focus on eliminating debt. If there's anything that I can cut out, anything that I might be able to negotiate down. So like Spectrum cable, it keeps going up, up, up. Well, some people, they may decide to cut the cord with them. They may call and say, hey, it just went up. I would really like to get the promo rate again. And then budgeting books also help you to create a saving strategy for the next year. So when I go through my budgeting books, and I apologize if you hear the train going by, when I go through my budgeting book, I look at last year, and I just kind of go through every page just to see if things changed. For example, like our homeowners insurance went up a little bit, and then our taxes went up a little bit. And so I just kind of get an idea of where things were. And I also try to make a goal. Now, sometimes I make lofty goals, and my husband doesn't necessarily like that, but I can only see where I want to go if I see where we've been. Okay. So when I'm looking at our finances, I'll look and say, all right, this is what our paychecks are. This is what we've been saving. You know what? The kids are a year older. We may have this expense now. I can then decide, all right, this is what I need to come out of every paycheck in order to cover gifts for the kids for next year. And we don't do anything fancy schmancy. Okay. Then I might say, all right, well, we're going to go on vacation this year. So this is what I need to have come out to go to that. And I just kind of start making a plan on what our goals as a family are. And maybe if we have something else. So like 2 years ago, my goal was to pay my student loans off. And so I kept going through our budget, and poor Spectrum cable, when they jacked my price up again, I canceled cable and just kept the internet. And then I took the $100 from the cable, and I just started applying that to my student loan every month. So budgeting allows you to see, okay, where can I refocus those funds? What means more to me? Nobody was here all day to watch the television. So why did I want to pay almost $200? I didn't. The kids watch Disney Plus most of the time. So when I started really saying, all right, do we have it just to have it? Or do we have it because it's what we're using? And we had it just to have it. All right. So we put that towards the student loans, paid the student loans off. Then after that, the money that I was using on the student loan, I then started applying to one of our vehicles. We paid that off. So it really started that snowball of, all right, this is only getting us in a better financial position, which eventually we then bought a new home. So those are things that you can look at. The big picture, doing these little things like creating a budget, getting yourself focused on what your goals are with your finances, can then help you do that evaluation and help you to achieve your goals. When you're doing that reset, I tell people this is a great way to start that reset, a no spending challenge. So just like everybody's cutting out everything under the sun at the beginning of the year because they're all on a diet, well, you're on a financial diet, all right? I encourage people, whether it's 2 weeks, it's 30 days, it's 90 days, however long you can go, to do a no spend challenge. Now, what is that? A no spend challenge is you pay all your bills you're supposed to. So your rent, your utilities, your insurance, gas, etc. But there's no extra spending except for necessities that you may need. So if you're running out of toilet paper, you go and buy it. Milk, bread, eggs, produce, we kind of let those go in there. But it's also a pantry clean out. So you're really getting creative on what's in that pantry, what's in that freezer, really just to get things all cleaned out. And it's amazing how it can help you. A lot of people do so much mindless spending and they don't realize it. You know, buying that coffee every day, or, oh, I left my lunch at home. So you're buying lunch in the cafeteria, whatever it is, when you're doing that on a regular basis, it adds up quite significantly. It could be the difference between, you know, a new wardrobe and not. So just doing these things can really be helpful for people. Also, when you're doing the no spending challenge, it's also a great time for you to kind of evaluate other things. So I kind of put my year in these timeline blocks, and there's things I always know that I'm doing at a certain time of the year. So in January, we're in a no spend challenge for all of January. But at the same time, that's when I'm having my insurance company look to see, my insurance broker look to see if I can get a better insurance rate for my auto and home. It's when I'm kind of comparing prices. Oh, is it time for us to go to a different provider for this? So I'm really just kind of looking to see, all right, how can we slim down that budget a little bit to get us to our next goal, right? Any of the money that you save, move to a savings account. Now, for me personally, I can't have my savings account where I work. One, because it's like having it under my mattress. Like, it's too close to home here. So I actually have to send it to another credit union. But that's what works for me. So when my paycheck comes in, I do a transfer to this other account. And guess what? I'm saving, because I can't transfer it back without paying a fee. And I don't pay fees to get my own money. I don't have an ATM card for it. I physically have to go there to get the money if I want to. And it's not real convenient to get there. So I set up.
I do the same thing, Colleen, and it works like a charm.
Mm-hmm. And it's just because you have to know yourself and you have to know your spending and savings habits. For some people, a no spend challenge is probably one of the hardest things they can do. And it's not about entitlement, but it is. It's because we've learned to say, well, yeah, I'm going to treat myself. But we treat ourselves all the time, but we don't treat ourselves well enough to then want to hit our goal. So for 30 days at the maximum, do a no spend challenge and take all that money. If you know that week, you know what? I know that I have an extra $50 that week. If you know that by nature you are a spender, transfer it, get it out of there, get it out of sight. Because if you're like me, it's, oh, well, I'll just pay it back. Well, when my paycheck comes in, I'll just put it, and you never do. You never do. So you want to know your habits. One thing I tell people all the time, this is how you can tell if you're a saver or a spender. And remember, our idea is to get in the middle. So be somewhere in the middle between them. So how many of you have ever gone to a store and you just buy something, not even, really thinking about it, and you're like, okay, you walking out of the store and then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have bought that. I shouldn't have bought that. Or you go and buy a $5,000 bed and then you're like at home 3 days before your wedding, like, oh my God, I just spent $5,000 on a bed. Like, buyer's remorse. If you have buyer's remorse, or if you're standing in line and you're hemming and hawing, should I get it now? Should I not get it now? You are a spender by nature. If you go through with that purchase, you lack impulse control. That is what spenders do. They lack that impulse control to really think it out, because where you're stopping in your thought process is, do I have this accounted for in my budget? And if you answered that question, then you wouldn't have the buyer's remorse. The savers are the opposite end of the spectrum. So often with savers, they're going to be the people that are like, oh, I'll get just one more wear out of those shoes, or these can make it to the next season, or duct tape will fix it. Okay. There tend to be savers. They're so frugal that they're not going to spend extra money on it. Where we want to be is somewhere in the middle, where if you need to buy that new pair of sneakers, you're able to buy that new pair of sneakers because it's a necessity, But if you want to buy a new television, you're able to say, okay, let me break it down. The next 6 weeks, I'm going to allocate this much out of my paycheck so I can buy the television, right? You want to be somewhere in the middle. 52-week spend challenge. So this is a good one. This is doing it basically, so on week 1 of the year, you put $1 in your savings. Week 2, you do $2. And so you just keep going on. I encourage people, if they want to do the 52-week challenge, start with $52 and go backwards. Because the closer you get to Christmas, the less money you have. Let's be realistic. Okay? This is nice. A lot of people like gimmicks. They like these types of things. They like, people make like a little chart and check it off and all the things. That's great. I like an easy number that I know this amount is always coming out of my check. I don't have to think about it. But these types of challenges often help to get kids involved. Okay, so you could create a nice little chart here and, every week and challenge your kids to put it in, I don't know, a piggy bank or a big water jug, or even you just go to the bank and you deposit that dollar amount as a family, whatever it is. These are nice challenges. It helps you create a little bit of a savings. You could make a goal for that savings, or it could just be for rainy day. The 100 envelope challenge. So this is very similar to the 52-week challenge, except for you basically take these envelopes, write 1 through 100 on it, and then shuffle them up. Okay, put them in a box. And then every week you pick 1 or 2 envelopes, and whatever that dollar amount is, you put it in the envelope. You put it in the box. I in particular don't really care for this challenge because I was thinking about it. That's an awful lot of envelopes. One, you have to write out, then you have to stuff them, then you have to unstuff them. That just doesn't seem very like a very good use of my time. So again, but some people like this type of gimmick. Now, this can end up being a lot of money. I am always going to promote, if you're saving money, unless it's coins, to put it in a financial institution for your own safety and security. Okay, when you leave large amounts of cash, because this, I believe, adds up to $5,000 or something, that's a lot of money for you to have just put in a shoebox. So I don't recommend this, but it's something that's big, and some people, again, like these little gimmicky things. Okay. The loose change challenge is probably my favorite because, in my opinion, it's the easiest. One, I don't like carrying change. So when when my little change purse in my wallet gets full, I dump it all out. I throw 4 quarters back in, and I put all of the rest in a jug like this. Okay. It's also super easy to have kids involved, especially since kids, I will always advocate, kids should always have a piggy bank. It should be something that's a conversation from the very beginning with kids, because savings is important. Achieving goals are important, and we just want to instill those values into them. So putting loose change into a jar, we never spend it. I swear, if my husband was allowed to, it would just be all piled up all over our dresser. So my 5 kids have learned from their mom that if you see it on, the counter in the bathroom or on the counter in the kitchen or wherever, it goes right into the piggy bank, and they're all programmed to do it. So they raid my husband's nightstand on a regular basis because it doesn't belong on the nightstand. It belongs in the piggy bank. Now, we have done this. My husband,
Colleen, we've just got a couple minutes, so I want to make sure you're aware of the time.
We did this a couple of years, or more than a couple at this point. We had done this from the time we were married, in a water jug just like this. And my husband and I actually paid for our trip to Las Vegas with it. So it can add up, and it's an easy thing because most of the time we don't want our pockets full of change, right? Some other savings ideas, $5 challenge. Basically, anytime you get a $5 bill, you put it in your savings account. Automatic or electronic rounding. Not all financial institutions offer this, but it's something that some do. So basically, if you spent $23.15, your financial institution would work with you to see, okay, the 85 cents, or maybe you wanted it rounded up to, $25 even, whatever. And they'd always move that extra to a savings account. Payroll allocation. That's what I have been talking about when I say, my paycheck comes in and money automatically goes to the other financial institution. I have that allocation just working for me every time. So I don't even have to think about it. Because if you have to have that intent, sometimes if we have something that we want, not necessarily need on our mind, we may put off putting it into that savings account. When it comes to personal finances, you need to find what works for you. Personal finance is exactly that, personal. So it's not always going to be what works for me, works for you. Okay. So remember to take charge of your finances in the new year. Okay. Create a spending plan. That's what's going to help you. Tracking your expenses, including, a savings strategy, whether it's for the holidays or future goals, etc. Just having that check-in on your finances, that can make it a worthwhile thing for you. It gives you just that recognition of what's going on. Planning to reduce your debt, that only helps you to achieve your next level goals. And creating a vision board. If you've never created a vision board, do it. Vision boards are meant to inspire you. It's your information that you're putting on there. It's your goals that you're putting on there. If you have a vision board and you put one together, put it somewhere where you're always going to see it, whether it's on your desk or, in your bathroom, whatever. Have that inspiration there for you, because if you stay motivated, then you're more than likely going to achieve your goals. So thank you for attending. If you want any more information about anything to do with your finances, you can go to our website, visionsfcu.org/wallet wellness, or you can contact our team, education@visionsfcu.org. And do we have any questions?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've got a couple minutes. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. I loved how you focused, Colleen, on right off the bat of what's important to you. And one of the things I think about is like looking back, like as a kid, what do I remember most? And it wasn't necessarily every single gift I got. There were like a couple of key ones that were important every year, but having, 32 or 33 or whatever that number is, that seems like, you want to give your kids everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most importantly, the message that you're giving is plan your budget all the time. You stay within your budget regularly, because you can't save money for the holidays if you're not working within your current budget. And I think that's really, I think it's a challenge. I think it's a challenge for people almost every income level. And your point that it's personal is really true. If you could hit the next slide, I do want to emphasize, you can certainly work with your credit unions to get your finances under control. If you live here in Syracuse, we have our Syracuse Financial Empowerment Centers, which is a free service for city residents. And you can work one-on-one with a trained financial counselor to set your own goals, establish your own budget, identify areas where you might need to do a little work, including your credit score or savings account. It can help set you up to save for that house or plan your holiday spending. So feel free to reach out to the Financial Empowerment Center. And next month, we're not going to do the first Monday because of the holiday, but please join us on January 7th at noon. It's going to be tax season before you know it. And so Meredith's going to be here from the United Way to talk about myfreetaxes.com and our VITA tax program, where lower income families can get free tax assistance throughout Onondaga County, but also we'll have a program at NIDA. So I hope everybody's enjoying the holiday season. I hope nobody catches my cold. Shout out to my staff. Taisha and Dallas, you've been terrific. I'm sorry I'm not there, and I hope you don't get my cold. So Colleen, thank you for being here with us today. It's been lots of fun, and you had some great ideas. And I hope you and your really energetic family has a wonderful holiday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colleen. Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Brenda.
2022.
2022.
Thanks, Brenda. It's 2022, January 7th. We'll fix that. All righty. I'll stay on for a couple minutes if anyone needs to chat or has some follow-up questions, but thanks so much. Dallas, could you stop the recordings, please?